How crazy has it been watching all these dudes from Dagestan
Oh my God.
invade MMA
I knew it.
and dominate?
I knew it. When I was about to start fighting and when I started fighting, I said, man, when these Russian dudes from these regions start to come, it's going to be a problem.
For years, a breed of fighters from Dagestan has ragdolled the MMA world. Their wrestling is a puzzle no one has been able to solve.
You know how good they were as wrestlers, right? What's going to happen when these guys come into fighting?
Until Craig Jones arrived on the scene.
All wrestlers, especially Dagestani wrestlers, we've ruined their careers as well.
Craig is a jiu-jitsu specialist and self-proclaimed troll from Australia, who is now haunting the Dagestani's nightmares. This Aussie grappler might look like a laid-back surfer, but he's been busy turning the Dagestani game plan on its head.
Who knew that the cure to the Dagestani wrestling were the Aussies?
Backed by a couple of elite Australian UFC champions, Craig may actually be onto something. But his biggest test is just ahead. And if his fighter passes, it might be the end of Dagestan's dominance in the UFC. To understand why Craig's work is groundbreaking, you have to understand just how dominant the Dagestani era has been in MMA.
Brother, Dagestan,
It was built on sambo and wrestling, and forged in the mountains.
I'm born from crazy mountains.
Their fighters grow up grappling with anything that moves, including bears. The result? Undefeated champions.
Khabib, the Eagle, Nurmagomedov!
Khabib retired 29-0 after steamrolling every challenger on the mat.
To me, Khabib is one of the scariest too. He's beating you down. He's not only beating you down, he's breaking you mentally. And for me, he's the scariest one, pound for pound.
His protege, Makhachev, picked up right where he left off.
Khabib, right? That was the complete version of a Russian fighter. Then you see Islam, and he possesses all those same skills with the strike.
These guys don't just wrestle you, they smother you. Once a Dagestani gets hold of you, it's nearly impossible to deal with their pressure and control. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, Division I wrestlers. It hasn't mattered. Everyone has been ground into dust by them and their fighting style.
brother, if you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
3 years?
That was Islam half-joking with DC, basically saying the Dagestani way can turn anyone into a monster. It's extreme parenting advice, but you get the point. Dagestani training is a cheat code for combat sports. These wrestlers took over MMA with a style so dominant that even world-class fighters looked helpless. The MMA world has been desperate for an answer. Khabib didn't lose a single fight. Hell, he barely lost a round. He made elite fighters look ordinary. We saw Edson Barboza, a terrifying striker, get pinned like a butterfly. We saw Justin Gaethje, an all-American wrestler with nuclear knockout power, flail on the ground like he'd never wrestled in his life. Dustin Poirier, a BJJ black belt, was choked out. Charles Oliveira, the UFC's submission king, got methodically out-grappled and submitted by Islam.
Now, there's bad like Khabib. Khabib and his crew could probably come wipe out half the country because that's how all these guys grew up. They grew up hard. These guys grew up in Dagestan.
The Dagestani fighters bring a style that mixes raw strength and lifelong technique. Opponents walked in expecting to be taken down. Khabib used to wear a shirt that read, "If Sambo was easy, it would be called jiu-jitsu." And honestly, who was going to argue with him at the time? They backed up that talk by winning, over and over again. By the time Khabib passed the torch to Islam, the question on every fighter's mind became, how the hell do we beat these guys? Traditional wrestling coaches tried to prepare fighters to sprawl and brawl. BJJ coaches tried to devise new guards or submissions off their backs. But nothing worked. The Dagestani grip was too tight. Their wrestling became MMA's biggest unsolved puzzle. It's like every challenger comes with a different key, and none of them fit the lock. Until Craig Jones started tinkering with a different key. Craig Jones might be the most unlikely figure to ever disrupt MMA's elite. A lanky Aussie with a mullet and a mustache, walking onto the mats in flip-flops, cracking jokes, then casually wrapping world-class grapplers into knots. That's Craig, a jiu-jitsu genius with the swagger of a stand-up comic. He's branded himself second place, trolled steroid culture with fake instructionals, and once said the key to success was the Goldilocks zone of autism and steroids.
If you have the right mix of autism and steroids, you are guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, to become a world champion.
But beneath the antics is one of the sharpest grappling minds alive, a two-time ADCC silver medalist and leglock pioneer who has submitted legends like Chael Sonnen. Craig studies tape like a forensic analyst. By 2019, he was a legend in BJJ circles. But MMA was still ruled by Dagestani dominance. Guys like Khabib and Islam weren't just winning. They were smothering opponents with fence pressure, leg rides, and wrist traps. Their game looked unbreakable. But Craig saw patterns and predictability. He wondered what would happen if you flipped the script. Instead of fighting for underhooks and trying to scramble, what if you let them take dominant positions, only to escape with precision? That idea became his obsession, an anti-wrestling jiu-jitsu playbook, sneaky guillotines to discourage takedown entries, using half guard to attack or stand, practicing back escapes so much that being mounted became an opportunity. In 2021, he got his shot. Alexander Volkanovski brought Craig into his camp during The Ultimate Fighter, then kept him on for UFC 266 against Brian Ortega. That fight produced one of the most iconic submission escapes in MMA history. In round 3, Ortega locked in a guillotine so tight that even Volk's coaches thought it was over. His face turned purple. The crowd froze. Then, a thumbs up. Volk used composure and subtle technique, fighting hands, adjusting angles, buying time, and it worked. He slipped out, exploded with ground and pound, and growled in Ortega's face. It wasn't just heart, it was preparation. That was Craig Jones. So when Volk signed to face Islam Makhachev at UFC 284, Craig Jones became the architect behind the game plan. Everyone expected Volk to get mauled. Instead, he popped up from takedowns, hand-fought out of back control, and even punched Islam from behind, turning survival into offense. Islam won the decision, but he admitted that it was the toughest fight of his career. Craig's blueprint had worked. This wasn't just stalling. It was calculated anti-wrestling. Deny wrist control, use the cage to stand, and attack even from bad spots. Craig believed submission threats could unnerve the Dagestani style. Volk didn't need to land one. He just had to make Islam think about it. Craig Jones summed it up with his usual bluntness.
It's like a dog chasing a car. They don't know what to do once they get it. In wrestling, they get the pin, it's over, the referee saves them, they stand back up. That's where jiu-jitsu takes over.
Where wrestling rewards control, Craig rewards chaos. And Volk proved that you can survive Dagestani pressure if you're prepared. But one question lingered. Was Volk just a freak athlete, a once-in-a-generation champion? Or could Craig's system work for others too? To find out, we need to look at another fighter from down under, Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena is one of the UFC's fastest rising stars, a ruthless Aussie boxer known for ending fights early and violently.
JDM is one of the guys that I fought that hits the hardest. And I fought Woodley, I fought Kamaru, I fought Hamza. Like I give him a little jab and then like, wow, my God.
But as his highlight reel grew, so did the whispers. Yeah, he's great on the feet, but what happens when a wrestler drags him down? It's the striker's eternal question. And for Jack, it became more than speculation after a few grapplers managed to tie him up and slow him down. Then came the big test, a welterweight title shot against Belal Muhammad at UFC 315. Belal is a grinder. Undefeated for years, he's a pressure wrestler who breaks opponents with top control and cardio. Not flashy, just relentless. A mini-boss version of the Dagestani style. And to prepare for him, Jack brought in a secret weapon, Craig Jones. Once again, the jiu-jitsu troll was in the war room, fine-tuning the anti-wrestling plan. Most fans expected Belal to drag Jack into deep water. Instead, Jack flipped the script. From the opening bell, his takedown defense looked levels above what we'd seen before. Every time Belal shot in, Jack widened his stance, dug underhooks, circled off, and made him pay with stiff jabs and body shots. It was clean, confident, and precise. Belal kept trying to push Jack to the fence, chain wrestle, control, nothing stuck. When he shot from too far out, Jack made him pay. One moment said it all. Belal dives in for a takedown, and Jack hits him with a knee that cuts him open. Sure, Belal scored a couple of takedowns after grinding effort, but even then, Jack stayed calm, avoided damage, and worked back up fast. As the rounds passed, Jack's confidence surged. Belal's frustration grew, and by the end of 5 rounds, the striker had outworked and outlanded the wrestler, winning a unanimous decision and the welterweight title. It was a massive upset. Not because Jack won, but because of how he did it. He nullified Belal's biggest weapon. And suddenly, the MMA world was asking a new question. Who else is Craig Jones coaching? Jack gave credit where it was due. In the interviews he gave after the fight, he thanked his team and singled out Craig.
Nah, he helped me a lot. He's a smart guy, and he was he helped us a lot.
Craig, as usual, added his own flavor.
But we hate these wrestlers as well, so I think they want me. I helped them get rid of Belal. Like, hold on a bit longer, guys. We'll get rid of Islam Makhachev for you.
UFC commentator Laura Sanko, who saw Craig's work up close in Jack's camp, was blown away. She later revealed that Craig had walked her through several exact techniques he drilled with Jack, and every single one showed up in the fight. She didn't mince words.
I'm definitely on board with the idea that Craig Jones is the key, the anti-Dagestani wrestling key.
Twice now, Craig had taken world-class strikers and prepped them to survive and even thrive against elite wrestlers. Volk survived Islam. Jack shut down Belal. This wasn't a fluke. The anti-wrestling playbook was real and working. The once unsolvable puzzle of Dagestani grappling has been dented. But to truly prove the code is cracked, there's one last test. The final boss. The newly crowned Aussie champion, Jack Della Maddalena, versus the Dagestani destroyer, Islam Makhachev. Islam took this challenge so seriously that he vacated his lightweight title to chase Jack's welterweight belt. No tune-ups, no soft entry, just a straight shot at history. The UFC knows how big this is. Dana's already said it's 100% the kind of fight that headlines Madison Square Garden, likely slated for November. A champion versus champion showdown under the brightest lights. A clash of two worlds. Islam, the grappling machine many consider the pound-for-pound king, heir to Khabib's throne, looks stronger than ever at 170 pounds. A man whose only scare came from another Aussie, Alexander Volkanovski. And now, waiting for him, is a different kind of threat. Jack Della Maddalena. Ferocious hands, calm under pressure. A knockout artist who just proved he can shut down a smothering wrestler and make him pay for every mistake. And, behind Jack, the same secret weapon that helped Volk push Islam to the edge, Craig Jones. This is Craig's brain versus Dagestani brawn. And you better believe he's cooking up a plan.
How do you think the fight against Islam goes?
I think it's a super difficult fight for Islam, this one.
According to Laura Sanko and Craig's past interviews, Jack's toolbox is already filling up. A guillotine is ready if Islam shoots sloppily, slick footwork to avoid the fence, immediate stand-up strategies if he gets taken down, even leg lock traps in case Islam overcommits in a scramble. Craig has studied Islam's habits like game film. He knows the leg rides, the transitions to back control, and the pressure patterns. And rumor has it, Jack's been starting every round in terrible positions, like with D1 wrestlers on his back, just to simulate the chaos Islam brings. It's not about avoiding the grind, it's about flipping it. Of course, Islam's not sleeping on this. The Dagestani camp is watching closely. They've seen the Belal fight. They know Craig Jones will be in Jack's corner. Expect adjustments like sharper striking setups to close distance, more feints, and urgency in submission chains. If Jack overextends on a guillotine, Islam could pass, clamp down a mounted arm triangle, and make him pay. This is a tactical chess match, played at full speed. Craig might have cracked the code, but the final answer gets written in the cage. If Jack beats Islam using Craig's formula, it will prove that the once invincible Dagestani blueprint has a counter.